Ndawubogogo ndawubantu abadala ndiyavusela ndiphakamisa indalo ndivusela empuma ndivusela entshona ndivusela kunene ndivusela ekhohlo. I greet you all. Welcome to my channel. I raise and evoke all the universal energies from the north to the south, the east to the west. May they come and bless us. Bogogo mkhulu, as we always say, welcome to my channel. If it's your first time coming across this channel, feel free, know this is home. And please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification button and share. Someone out there might just be needing what you have been indulging in. I want to talk about the importance of understanding the culture, the norms, the rituals, the values of your family as a female. Because most times we leave things to our brothers and the uncles and the fathers and the grandfathers to handle things. But the world is changing, Bogogo. And the reason why I wanted to do this video is because of some personal experiences that I would like to share that have made me realize how important it is to raise this with you, especially as a woman. It's important to understand your family history. Yes, you might not be actively participating in the work that happens when there are ceremonies and rituals being done, especially the ones that will be done at Ebuhlandi. But it's important to kind of have an understanding. For me, I found that a lot of things I've been exposed to them since I became a healer. Because as a healer, you're not limited, your healing is not limited to yourself, but your healing is for others as well, whether it's family, it's friends, it's colleagues, it's people in general. And also you kind of become a compass and an anchor for some people's spiritual journeys. Therefore, it's important to learn some things. So these are some of the things that when I started initiating, I learned. For instance, when I went to meet my father and we're talking and I introduced him to my son. And he only met my son when my son was, going for 3 years? I think so. And mainly because my mom and dad, they went their separate ways when I was 9 or 10 years old. So we don't have that constant connection, and over the years our connection has been via SMS at random times. It hasn't been consistent. And also I had to deal with a whole lot of issues myself. But now when it came to spirit, one of the things that needed to happen was for me to go to my dad to help me along the journey. And he played his part until where where it was said, okay, you've done enough. Now, daughter, continue your journey. So one of the things that I learned was when I met him, he asked me about the status of my son in terms of baby daddy and the relationship. So I told him, no, the relationship fell apart, which was something that was very random. But as they say, God hid, or the Creator hid a person's heart for his own reasons. Therefore, you never know a person's heart. You can be okay now, and the next moment things are just falling apart. But that's not where I'm at. So one of the things that my dad said was, oh, abantu abadala abo banohlukanisileyo. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Fast forward, we talk about now the rights of the child. What is the child hlawulwa for? Was the child acknowledged by the father? What ceremonies have been done for the child? Yeah, is the child being maintained? All those things. And I was like, okay. Now, one of the first things that came to mind for me when he was asking me that question was, well, you still owe me maintenance. And it was one of the things that weighed heavily on me as a generational curse. Because the relationship I was in and the father, there's no reason for some things that are happening that are unnecessary. There's no reason why they're happening, but they happen. And so some of the things are insila abazali bethu, though we might not say it straight out to them. But anyway, so for me, one of the things that I've observed is that which happens to your mother as a female tends to happen to you too as well. And these are some of the works that we have to do, and we end up with mother-daughter wounds and childhood wounds. So now, when I was with the child's father, I had my son at almost 40, so my whole view was that, hey, I'm not going to do the whole Siobiki Sisu, shebang. No, I'm old. And we made a decision that we're going to be pregnant. It was not by chance. We made a conscious decision. And then, okay, in hindsight, I did not realize that it was letting him off the hook, because that's what was supposed to happen. And along the way, those things, they catch up with you. Also, your pride. Sometimes you have to set your pride aside so that you don't end up with spiritual issues along the way that affect your children. So we did not go do that. But my father was like, and above that, then his utterances ended up disrespecting not only you, but my family. I'm like, okay, I didn't know that. Now, as old as I was at the time I was having the baby, I took things for granted. That you have a child, fine, the father knows most that it's his child. So surely, he'll tell his people and you tell your people. And, you co-parent, or if you're still in a relationship, you do whatever. But now, I was made to understand that it's not only about me. I am a representation of my people wherever I go. And some of my behaviors and some of the things that happen to me, they affect not only me, the next generation and the future generation. Okay, next generation and future generation is the same thing. But the immediate next generation and the future generations to come. Now, I was at fault. And I had to acknowledge that. Because in me thinking I'm handling my relationship, I was also messing and interfering with family processes. Right? And we always complain about men not doing things, but sometimes we become the enablers through not knowing enough or through assumptions and your pride. So now my father was insisting that intlawulo, and the baby daddy's like, no, I'm not doing intlawulo. I will just do I will continue doing what I was doing. And I'm like, what were you doing? Once, since the child was born, once or twice, I think once, he sent once money for cake, which was 750. And so he said, I'll continue doing that one. Now, he's talking maintenance. That is the second step. The first step of acknowledging the child in terms of introducing, not necessarily introducing the child to his ancestors, but him, appeasing my people for entering my father's kraal using a back door, if I can say that, or making a hole at the back and entering, because that is the interpretation when you get pregnant without being married. Fast forward, then, he pays that money that he said he'll pay. It's a drop in the ocean in terms of the reality of maintaining a child. But now, that issue of acknowledging the child by intlawulo to the family, paying to my father. Now, along the way, those things, they catch up with our children. Because I took it for granted that it's about me, but it's not only about me, it's about my family's name as well. And also the rights of these children, or of this child. And I remember once, even my father, when we were talking about the clan names, and he was explaining to me why we are not Okeswa, the story of Ukeswa. And he made a beautiful example about my son, because my son, his hair is very coarse and very hard. It's like he's got popcorn kernels on his hair. So he's got like the typical bushman hair, like literally. If you ever saw a picture of the bushman hair, that's my son's hair. And now that is a lineage that comes from his father's side, and also a lineage that comes from my great-great-grandmother, my great-grandfather's mother's side, Ojola. And now my father was explaining the importance of creating a relationship and maintaining the relationship for the sake of spirit, so that edlotini kungabikho umbango, so that this child does not grow up with a mark yombango. Umbango is discord over their spirit, because as much as the father and the mother, they did not go through the necessary processes which are mandatory. Because we are modern, we did not. And in hindsight, I did not realize I was playing into someone's narrative of not being exposed that he's got a child with me. That was my stupidity. But anyway, where am I? I'm talking about the spiritual link. Where now, along the way, the child ends up having issues that are related to their lineage history, where the ancestors know this child. This child was not introduced to the father's ancestors, but by virtue of the seed existing, they know that there's this child. And sometimes some children, you'll find they will tend to draw a lot from the paternal side. For instance, one of the jokes that my ex used to say, abantwana bakajola bayathanda uzibanga, meaning children from the Jola clan, they have a tendency of recalling who they are and claiming the paternal side, and as a result they will give you problems. Now this is someone who knows this, and I remember saying, then we must make sure we do things right if that is the kind of an affliction that comes from your family, your clan name. But it never got anywhere, that conversation anyway. It was not, we lovey-dovey when that conversation was happening. And now along the way you find that there are things that will happen that will force you to know how things are done in your family. Now I remember when my son was showing signs ukuthi ufuna ukwenzela umsebenzi, my uncle, I told him tatomncinci that fanele senzele umntana umsebenzi wokuqatshwa. And obviously I did not say that to him, but in my head obviously it has to be my family is one, the ceremony or the ritual, because umntana intombi, he is not born out of a marriage. Then and on the day, I distinctly remember my uncle asking me when it was time to start, ingabe ukhona umuntu wakwaJola okhoyo apha uzawukwenza into. And I was like, no, mntana ntombi lona, this boy is born of, an unmarried woman. Okay. Then he was like, oh, okay. But now, after a ceremony I attended, I spoke about it, the Tatobao role, in the other video, I came to learn something about our family. Now, apparently also it's from certain observations I've made about some things that are happening. I came to learn that in our family, my grandfather refused to do umsebenzi for umntana ntombi, umsebenzi wakulo ntombi. So if he was still alive, he would have refused to do his ceremony using our way of doing things as the mother. And of course I would have twisted his arm, he would have done it eventually. But where is that coming from? Now this speaks to the norms and values of your family and the ceremonies ezenziwayo kokwenu. There is someone in the family who, when they were young, it's an extended family member, who when they were young, a ceremony was made for them using the maternal rituals, and the child got sick and almost died. And from then, that is when it was decided that never again will we, perform a ritual that is maternally inclined on the children who are born of the daughters of this family, who are unmarried, because they tend to get sick. The only time they would do it is when someone shows signs that it needs to be done. Then they do the maternal one. But there was the insistence that it must always be, even if it means, so traditionally, if then you are unmarried, the child, the person from that family would come, not during the day, like while it's still dark, and they will perform that ritual, and then the family will continue then with the maternal rituals. But then the paternal person would have come and done and performed the paternal rituals very early. No one must see them when they do it, because this child is not married to that family, so they must come and perform it here at the maternal family side. All right. And so now, only when I was giving feedback about this ceremony we attended, then we started talking about this. And then again, I ended up discovering that there's also then a gap, because some of the children born out of the daughters of the family, they never got the paternal family rituals and the maternal. So some of them are actually like rootless trees because of that insistence. Now, that is why it was important to consult, to check if we do this ritual for this child, or with the maternal rituals, how would it go, the processes? And then some children, you find that they reject the maternal ritual. Then you'd be forced to get someone from that family. It does not necessarily have to be the father. We know the dynamics. It can be a brother or someone who has the same clan name, and then they would perform it. So there are many others that I will talk about that are eye-openers for me in terms of understanding, because we have to face reality. Men are dying, and also times are changing. We are becoming the ones who have to take up space and hold space for families. So it's important to kind of understand. Also now, as Utadobao, you also end up having to know what we do in this family and what we don't. So my advice is, even though you're a woman, you know, there are some places that you don't partake. But of course, as a healer, you end up partaking in those spaces by virtue of your dreams, by virtue of the role of being a healer in the family and a cultural guardian. So those are things that I kind of feel it would be nice and good for you to know. What are the rituals of my family? What rituals do we do? What rituals don't we do? So that you don't work on assumption, as assumption could get you into danger, and you end up repeating things, processes unnecessarily because you were not well informed. Thokozani bogogo ndawo weshewe thobela camaku. Ndiyayishiya apha, I'm leaving it here. And again, as I always say, be gentle. Be gentle, mindful, and kind to yourself. This is not an easy journey. We also have to learn from our mistakes and set pride aside. Oh, remind me one day to tell you about how I was told that I used to be proud. And I'm still atoning for that. See you in the next one.